Okay, so back on the 2011 Hyundai Elantra Touring. 21 mil bolts, take the wheel off. We're going for the control arm today. We're going to go ahead, take those wheel bolts off, pull the control arm off, put the new ball joint in. Unfortunately, because of the amount of rust, we are going to have to change the ball joints, which makes me sad. It's another 60 bucks. I'm going over budget, but it's killing me. But we're going to go ahead and change the control arms because we had a bit of a failure in the safety. It turns out the car had been sitting around a little bit, and we ended up having some rubber cracking in the control arms. So let's go ahead and change it. It'll make it that much better of a car for whoever ends up with it. So 21 mil bolts. I'm going to go get that now, and then we're going to go ahead and knock the control arm apart, get the new one in. This job, guys, a little bit less of a home gamer job. Requires some big tools, requires moving the suspension around sometimes while it's jacked. So sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge doing this type of job depending on the vehicle. This one here has a challenge when it comes to the sway bar is a little less out of the way a little more out of the way on this side, but on the other side certainly it's a little bit more in the way just to get the bolts out of it. I believe it's 22 mil nut on this side with the 19 on top. Super easy to get that one out. The bugger's always this one back here. And then just loosen off your two bottom ball joint bolts, and then the whole arm just drops off. So it's not too bad. Some plastic in there. There you go. That's one. S17. I'm just going to see if I can smack that out with the rust. Try that again. Rusty, 17 mil, two 17 mils under the knuckle, guys. And just, yeah. I wonder what it's like to work in a place where there's no rust. And you get to use a mid-grade impact on stuff. Because it takes sometimes the whole of my impact to get stuff off here. Yes, I could get a hammer, guys, but because I work on the ground, I'm lazy. I don't want to go all the way down to my garage, so I'm knocking sockets together. There we go. Another 17. Nice and rusty. And this should be a little bit more free. I think should be able to, I'll probably start to pop off when I move it, but yeah, okay, good. All right, good. I might actually get a socket on this one, which would
get enough room.
Totally make my day. Like, you guys have no idea because the other side of this car, the sway bar is in the way. There's drive shaft is in the way. Other side's more hard. All right, so let's see. More hard. It's not 17. Oh, it's not 17 because I'm using an 18. It's like throwing pieces of one puzzle into another puzzle. Just makes things interesting. Maybe you can go better, straighter, more better this way. Well, that's just awesome. So the arm is now fully disconnected, so we should be able to go ahead now. Don't pull this out too far because your drive shaft will come out. It's not a good time if that happens because you're kind of messing around with it, trying to push it back in. It's nice if this nut is off for your drive shaft. By the way, that is a nail. I just noticed. You're going to put the cotter pin back in there. Yeah, don't use nails for cotter pins. They're not cotter pins. We'll fix that. Wow. Okay. I said don't do that, and I'm doing it. Okay, so just the angle here. A little bit of persuasion required. There we go. There we go. And that's it, guys. This one wasn't as bad as the other side. The other side more cracked apart. But this side is actually more together, but still rusty. If you're changing them, they have the same amount of mileage on them. Might as well change them in pairs. Your ball joints are all crusty. They're petrified in this, guys. The quality of steel is really prone to rusting here, these things. So we're just gonna go ahead and change them. That shiny new control arm there, guys. Brand new ball joint, brand new control arm. L for left, R for right. It's hard to put the right one on the left-hand side. If you can do that, you're talented.
It'd be impressive.
Yeah. Comment down below if you've ever got the right control arm on the left-hand side. I'd like to hear that. That's a story I'd like to hear. And people who know me know I like to do things hard, even in IT, so. You can ask my current or previous employer by the time this video comes out if I like to do things the hard way. The good news is I'm always doing them. All right, so got that in there, and we're gonna go this way, and we're gonna start popping this guy back together. I recommend, guys, you start with the back corner bolt. The back corner here is definitely the least accessible in terms of putting a fastener in, so I like to start with that one, and if I have to fight with this one, fight with the one that's more accessible. This moves around for you, so you know, you push the ball joint. We'll get there. let's just I won't skip ahead. You guys are having a good time. I hope you have your popcorn out, you're eating something. It's entertaining for you. The guys who work at the Hyundai dealership, I know you're laughing. I'm glad it's a good time for you. It's the same at any dealership. When I work at BMW, guys at BMW dealership are laughing at me. It's all good. Okay, I think it's mainly the angle here of getting this.
Yeah.
This kind of wants to be up to go in.
Right.
I'm close.
You gotta get the angle of the dangle right.
Yeah, I gotta get the angle of the dangle. See, it's close. So we get our friend Mr. Prybar in there, and he will help us make adjustments. Go get a hammer, Chris. Go get a hammer.
I'll get you the rubber mallet.
Rubber mallet, he says. I got it in.
Oh.
I got it in, I fought with it. It's still not in enough. Sometimes it doesn't go in enough. We'll use the wood end. We'll just get in there.
Go in and give it the wood. There we go.
Oh!
Don't do that.
That's because I did something stupid. Stupid things hurt. If not immediately later. Ow. Now, the problem is the clearance of this is a little tight here. It's kind of got to go in so that can go up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's one of those. I got to actually put the ball joint in it. So I actually got to. Again, guys, I just put them in. The bolts of the ball joint are that far, so I have complete adjustment over what I'm doing here, so that I can get this guy in. You don't want to tighten this thing up until the very end, because you will. If you haven't had a fight with the suspension part, start by tightening everything you can at the beginning. If you feel like you need exercise and you don't want a gym membership, go ahead and tighten the first couple bolts, and all of a sudden your gym membership goes away. In fact, it makes $28 I spent on each ball joint seem really cheap compared to your gym membership. There we go. Excellent. There we go. All right. So, all of this. No, I'm lying to you. I thought I had that bolt up, but I don't. This guy's got to go in.
Oh, right.
So I'm not done fighting yet.
Oh, that's kind of flexy up there.
Yeah, she's. Well, it's just where the frame is to get it in, but.
Oh, it's a little bendy oldie though.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. There's rubber in there, and of course now I've got the other side connected, and it's gonna fight me a little bit. Like I said, I want the fight here, not back there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a fight. I'm gonna plan to have a fight. Just don't want to damage the bushing while you're doing it. Because that's kind of why I'm changing it.
There she goes.
It's trying.
Actually, this seems quite a bit like the Santa Fe. No surprise they drive the same.
No, it is. It is very similar. It's just a small Santa Fe. That's all it is. It's tiny. Let's see if I can get a bolt to sort of pull it over where we need it to be.
Yeah.
It's super duper close. Like, I mean, we're within very close specification here. Smack on the washer, not the bushing. On that top metal piece. It's very close. Keeps being very close.
Almost.
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 Almost. Almost. Very good then. There we go.
There.
Persistence.
It's crowning.
Yeah. Prying and bargaining and finally went. All right, so we're gonna go back to tightening the back corner. And we're gonna tighten this guy, and then we're gonna tighten this guy, and we're done. Got the right size wrench, or what's going on here? What's going on with you? It wants to.
Almost.
It's like, come on, Hyundai, really?
Yeah.
Come on! Sounds kind of like the beginning of Metallica. But those are the 17s we're tightening now, and then this is what I think. I want to say it's an 18, but I don't think it is. I think it's smaller than that. Well, we'll tell you in a second. Dug it, that. Oh, that is not a 17. I thought it was. The new bolts might be. The original bolts were 17.
Ah.
Yep, 19.
All right.
So they are actually upgraded bolt head sizes. They look to be like
something.
Heat treated, fancy black, painted. You know. I'm just gonna. Jeez, why'd you do that? You're not supposed to be rusty. I know you're on a lot of rusty bolts, but. So I'm just gonna go ahead now that they're both in. I'm gonna give these the beans because they're a ball joint, so we want to make sure that they're not going in. There you go. See the gun stalling on them. There you go. That's tight. And then we're gonna go ahead. I like to do the bottom bolt, the castle nut by hand. They make those. It is a. What is it? That says 18. It is an 18 on the bottom, interestingly enough. But again, depending on your ball joint, depending on where you get it from, it could be any size. The aftermarket guys are always changing stuff. So where are my little holes here? I just want to see where the holes are for the collar pin. I'm using a super long wrench here, guys. Again, this bolt feels to me like if you really reef on this castle nut, it will strip. I can tell it's just not, great. We're gonna go ahead and give it the beans anyways, but because we don't want ball joint bolts coming out. That's it. That's tight. I mean, that's not going anywhere. You got to remember that ball joint sits in a taper and it's going sideways. So as much as you don't want your front wheels to come off, if you've got a collar pin in there and that thing is completely loose, it's threatening to come off. So long as there's a collar pin in there, bouncing around, it's not coming off. Now, still got that little off. It's a little off. We'll tighten that just a little bit more, just to get the hole lined up so you can see through it. And then you're going to put your collar pin in, and you want it to sit nice in there. Actually, I like the long part down. Okay. So the long part of the collar pin is actually coming all the way out. And then what you're going to do, you don't have to do it with your hands. I'm kind of nuts. But you can go ahead, put that down, and then if you grab your hammer, just fold that up under there like that. That's the right way to do it. Now this is sticking out, and you wouldn't want to get your, if you had a hoist, you wouldn't want to get your eyeball stuck on there or anything. So what you do is you just cut it, right? What the heck's going on here? Your side cutters are not crap. It'll just cut. Mine are a little bit crappy. These are from the dollar store. You know, that's still too sharp. I don't like it. Let's see if I can clean it up a bit. I just said why I was doing it. But that's the way a cotter pin should be. It goes through and that folds over. You know, I know people do them differently, but I was taught professionally to do them that way, and they've never failed me. Definitely a lot better than this cotter pin. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go get a cotter pin for that. We're gonna fix it right now before I forget. We'll even look at the other side and see if there's a nail in it. That's, I don't know who did that. Wow. Terrible arrangement off. Let's call it a terrible arrangement, okay? That's unless that's a factory Hyundai cotter pin, but I don't think so. Get yourself some cotter pins, guys. Like big kit like this. In the States, I'm sure you can buy that for $5. Probably less. We're gonna use the biggest, look, it'll take the biggest one in my kit. I don't even end up using ones that size, you know? Some guys like to let them sit above the shoulder like this. You can do it like that, but then you end up with your, I don't like it. So I'm gonna let it fall in. And I'm gonna do it exactly the way I described before. That's not going anywhere once this is all the way up. And then again, I'll trim here and I'll trim here. My crappy side cutters. Throw that over near the fence. Probably shouldn't do that, but I'm going to. All right, so here we go. There we go, that's one. And then we're gonna go ahead here again. That's two. I'll just give that a tap for good luck. Geez, I wonder if that looks more professional. Control arms are changed. So, in a nutshell, we're going to torque the wheels, of course, at the end. But like, share, subscribe, and if you have any questions about Hyundai stuff, let us know down below. Thank you.